Welcome back to the channel. In the last video, you guys saw me strip the 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT. Got everything off of it, but right now the shop is a mess. I have started cleaning it up. So I had all the stuff from the Challenger, the front bumper, the fenders, and it was down here just taking up a spot, which really isn't a good idea because the forklift can't lift a pallet that high. So what I decided to do is put all the stuff up there, all the loose interior trim, fenders, bumpers, stuff like that. So those three spots up there will be, you know, that kind of stuff. Then I could use the other shelves for trannies, engine blocks, etc. So when I get the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk here, I could actually begin stripping it down, do the same thing that I did with the SRT Jeep and figure out what we have good on that as well. So let's get to work cleaning this up and just make the shop nice and clean, get all the pallets put up where they need to be. And then when we get this car, when they deliver it later today, we'll be ready for it. So I was able to get the shop all nice and cleaned up, ready for the Trackhawk to come. It should be here in the next few hours, but I was able to get a pallet with the tranny and the transfer case on it. I have a pallet up there with both diffs, the brakes, axles, etc., a bunch of arms and stuff like that. And then there's the engine pallet with the block, the heads, and all that stuff. I need to clean all this up. Like I've said before, I bolted the crankshaft to the flex plate just so I could stand that up. The same with the thing with the camshaft. I bolted it to the pulley so it'll stand up as well. Back in the day, if you laid crankshafts down, they would warp, but now they're pretty high nickel content, so there's not really that issue, but they do take up a lot less space standing up than laying down. But now that everything's cleaned up, I guess we'll just have to wait for the Trackhawk to get here. Trackhawk is now down here. It's a lot more burnt than I thought it was going to be, but it has all the brakes like the other one did. It also has the 6.2. I didn't think it was going to be so bad. It looks like there's a hole in the oil pan. I think that's from the fire. So we're just gonna have to check it out and look what ends up being good on this. It melted the oil cooler lines. It melted a lot of stuff. It actually, it looks like the AC compressor broke off right there. But hopefully we end up getting a lot of good parts off of it. The brake caliper on this side, you can see it got a little bit toasty, but everything other than that looks okay. The wheel right here kind of looks off center. Maybe that's because the caps and they're broken, but yeah, I thought that it would have a good fuel tank, but the fuel tank looks like it ignited and exploded. Maybe that's why this whole backside is a lot more crispy than the other one. It still has the diff is still good in it. The front diff is probably still good in it. It has the dual exhaust. The exhaust is probably fine on it. You know, the bumper is pretty melted. I was actually hoping that some of this would be okay. It has a good trailer hitch. The other one didn't have that. It has a good, I think this taillight's probably okay, just kind of depending on if it melted the backside of it. It has some good flares. I'll pull the flares off the doors. Actually, this kind of got melted right there. So I'll just kind of save what I can, but I'm really happy that it has the calipers, and the brake rotors actually look pretty decent compared to the other one. And I guess we're just gonna go through it like we did the other one. And I was hoping it was gonna be a little bit better. I wasn't planning on actually flipping this one over like I did the other one, but that's probably what's gonna happen. So we can pull everything really easy, get the rear diff, rear whole subframe assembly out, get the whole tranny and engine out, see how bad the transmission is. You know, with how the gas tank looks like it lit on fire and, you know, exploded. I'm just kind of concerned about the transmission in this one, and this is the transmission that I needed for the Charger. So hopefully we come out with a good transmission out of this transfer case, front and rear diff, and we'll just kind of go from there. So let's get stripping this. The Trackhawk is now completely stripped down. Everything is broken down and ready to start the cleaning phase. So I'm really happy that I was able to get the Trackhawk for very, very cheap. The final bid was $975 after fees and everything. It was like $1,300, which is extremely cheap. That transfer case right there, I could sell it for like $2,700, which is, you know, that's not even including that transmission. Why I got this Trackhawk, the 2018 Trackhawk, was because this is an 8 HP 95 transmission. They're known to hold over 1,000 horsepower with no issues. So I want to get this thing hopefully into the Charger so we can get it all-wheel drive, but I'm probably going to have to end up Frankensteining a bunch of stuff together. I'm going to try to see if the Trackhawk rear subframe will actually bolt into the Charger. If it does, I could use these different lower control arms. I like those lower control arms a lot better because they're one piece instead of two different arms going to the knuckle. Then if I could do that, I could pretty much just put all the Trackhawk rear stuff in. I could use the valve shocks. I have two of those. I have one from the SRT8. I have one from the Trackhawk. And then I could just get front ones because I need front knuckles anyway. The reason being, I didn't notice it until I tried to stick two of the, well, I was going to try to fit the SRT8 and the Trackhawk wheels onto the Charger just to see how it looked with them on there. But then I come to find out that the bolt pattern on those are 5x115. And I think the SXTs are like 5x100 or something. So there's no way it would work. But besides that, I have a set of wheels. I have a set of bad wheels. Like I said before, I'm going to try to do something with the bad wheels eventually. But I also have, you know, that's another LSD 370 diff, front and rear or LSD. I have the knuckles. All the rear suspension arms are good. And we have the transmission transfer case. I did end up with a good Hellcat engine. It needs to be gone through and cleaned. I may end up building it. I may end up trying to build a Hellcat to sorts. So the Hellcat, the stroke is 4 inches and the bore is 4.175, which the 6.4 stroke is 3.75. And I mean, we might be able to kind of Frankenstein something together. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I may end up just putting sleeves in one of these blocks, putting a stroker crank in it, doing some sort of aftermarket rods, and try to build this thing so it can handle at least, you know, at least 1,000 to 1,300 horsepower and just kind of go from there. But I'm really excited that I have a full Hellcat engine. Just it's torn down and all the parts just need to be gone through and cleaned. Same thing with the 6.4. That'll be in another video. The one good thing about the Hellcat engines is the valve covers are aluminum and the supercharger or intake is aluminum. So it took me a lot less time to get all that stuff off. If you guys remember the 6.4 in the last video, it took me quite some time. It took me like a couple hours to get all of that melted intake manifold that was melted into the valley all off of the 6.4 block and heads so I can get to pulling the whole engine apart. The one valve cover on the Hellcat was melted, but you know, it was pretty easy to get all that stuff out. It took a little bit of time, but it was a lot less time consuming than the 6.4 you know, composite or plastic intake was to get torn down and get the engine started to tear down. But other than that, I have a good set of heads. I have the supercharger. The supercharger's over there. It needs to have new seals put in it. The heat exchangers are right there. It needs new seals for the heat exchangers, but it turns freely and it is, you know, it's just dirty. It just needs to be cleaned up. Same thing goes with the block, the heads, the oil pan. I thought the oil pan was bad, but it looks to be good. I have the exhaust manifolds. I actually have a set of engine brackets. The mounts are actually cooked, but I could get some aftermarket ones of those. I have a good crankshaft, good cam, and then all the 6.4 stuff as you guys saw in the last video. And then I have a good set of pistons and rods. I'll probably end up selling those. I may end up selling the 6.4 pistons and rods. Not exactly sure yet. We'll just have to kind of play it by ear. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for the Charger engine first, if I'm going to try to Frankenstein a Hellcat Hellcat engine together or what I'm going to end up doing, but we'll see what happens with that. And then I also was able to get all the calipers, and the rotors have barely any wear on them, and the pads don't have barely any wear either. So we have a good set of rear rotors, rear calipers. I will end up rebuilding all the calipers and changing the color on them. But the front rotors are the same, barely any wear on them. They're 2-piece rotors, which those are actually pretty expensive, but the calipers kind of got a little cooked. The driver's side caliper got extremely cooked, but it looks to be good. Just needs to be, you know, rebuilt, the color changed. As I said before, I have the front diff right there. I'm saving the axles and the drive shaft just for cores when I get new ones. And I'm just really excited that I was able to get this thing for so cheap. And it just goes to show you that even though something is completely burnt, this thing was a lot more burnt than I thought it was from the pictures. The SRT8, I did know that it was rolled and then it, you know, it was burned and stuff like that. And that one seemed like it was a lot better than I expected it to be. But this Trackhawk was a lot worse than I expected it to be. So that being said, we got a lot of good parts out of it. We got a lot of parts for the Charger project, and we got some parts that we can recoup a little bit of money, hopefully. I have the catalytic converters over there. Those are good. Those are actually expensive. I have the full exhaust. That thing's pretty expensive. You know, it just takes a long time to kind of find somebody that's looking for those parts. And the larger parts, I really don't want to deal with shipping. Like a full exhaust, I won't want to deal with shipping. But yeah, we'll try to figure out how to, if we can stick the Trackhawk subframe in the Charger, then we can fit all the diff and those different control arms and all that stuff on there. If it works out, see if we can fit the tranny in. This is actually the SXT transmission mount. It fits on there, but you can see right there the bolt holes for the transmission, and the drive shaft would be going through it. So I'm gonna have to see if I have enough space to actually modify the floor so I can bolt the transmission and then still have the drive shaft without compromising any of the area with me, you know, still having seats and stuff in it. I don't want to not be able to bolt the driver's seat in it. The difference between the Trackhawk and the Charger all-wheel drive, the Trackhawk holds a lot more power, is you know, an 8-speed transmission. The transmission's better. The Charger transmissions are still 5 speeds. They're kind of old technology, but it's just weird because Dodge does this. The Trackhawk transfer case goes down the driver's side. The Charger transfer case goes down the passenger side. And we'll just see if we can make something to work. I really want the Charger to be all-wheel drive. I also heard that most of the parts are on their way to the dealership. So if you are subscribed to my channel and kind of want to meet up, I'll be driving to New York in a few weeks, which means I'm probably gonna be stopping along the way, you know, to eat, look for parts, etc. So I may have some meet and greets as I go through to the East Coast in New York. I'm gonna probably end up staying in New York for maybe a day or two, just so I can look around and kind of chill there, and then just kind of head back. I don't want to be out too long, but I plan on probably being gone for about a week to do the whole trip. It'll probably take me, you know, almost a I drive straight through, so I probably could drive through in like a day and a half, and then I could drive back in a day and a half, and then I have an extra, you know, 5 days to do stuff along the way, and just kind of go from there. But I'm going to end the video here. If you do like these videos, love the content, make sure to click the subscribe button, share it with people that you think would love the channel. Also, give the video a thumbs up, throw a comment below what you think of all these parts, what you think of the Charger project, and hopefully everything just kind of comes together and we can get this Charger built, make it really, really nice and really, really fast. But thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.